Back again with another episode. Oh my gosh, I am so thrilled to be sharing this one. This week's chat is with the lovely super agent, Rebecca Vivian Davis. Rebecca and I went to college together, and she is now running the Southeast with her agency, the Krew Collective, that she started on her own. This is like a really cool conversation with Rebecca. We talk about all of the steps it took, and even when it felt like she wasn't on her path, how she actually was being guided into where she was meant to be as an agent. And we talk a lot about trusting our gut and our intuition, which is really important and kind of your lifeline in this business. I am really excited for you guys to check this out. Enjoy! We're doing it!
Let's do it.
Oh my gosh. I'm so excited to be chatting with you on this little
Yeah.
platform. Everyone who is watching, this is Rebecca Vivian Davis, superstar agent. But I'm not gonna steal your thunder. I would love for you to introduce yourself and tell us
Well,
about you and all the fun things.
well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. Allie and I go back to our days at Marymount Manhattan College, which is how we know each other. Um, but yeah, I'm pumped. And I was just saying, like, kudos to you for doing this and like for putting yourself out there and I think it's awesome, especially like, during a quiet time where things are like a little bit slower. It's just so nice to have a creative outlet and yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Thank you,
Um,
sister. I
yeah, I'm
appreciate
so
that.
excited. So I'm Rebecca. I own and operate a New Orleans-based talent agency called the Krew Collective.
And it's
Um,
like so successful.
well, thank you so much. I love you. You're like such a hype man. I appreciate it so much. You would be a great agent, Allie. For real. I feel
Please see my client. She's really great.
like half of it, like I feel like that's why I like doing this because like I love to be a cheerleader and like it's so much fun to like cheer people on. So I appreciate it so much. Yeah, so I we I'm represent about 112 people or so.
We've grown so much.
Yeah. I mean it feels like it has grown uh numbers wise like a bit since the last time we spoke, probably like what, 6 or 7 months ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's um I'd say like still like, boutique, like small boutique size. But yeah, I think I started off like, I don't know, with five or six people like in 2019, and we're about to turn 4 years old, so it's come a long way. But yeah, it's so yeah, that's that's
Okay.
us.
I love it. I love it. Rebecca's clients are on everything. Like every show in the Southeast, Rebecca has clients on. It's so, oh, it just like gives me chills thinking about it. I'm just so stoked for you and your success. But let's back it up. Let's back it way up because you were not an actor at our very actor school.
Yeah, but I was like
Um,
close with all, like I feel like all my roommates and like a lot of my friends were in theater, musical theater, dance and stuff. Yeah, I
yeah,
feel like I've always like I grew up in theater, so I feel like I've always like kind of just been friends with actors.
yeah. But I feel like you kind of always knew that you wanted to be an agent. Is that right?
Yeah, which is such a like random thing for a 15-year-old kid to want.
Yeah.
Like, I want to grow up and be an agent. Like I don't really think it's like pretty niche and super random.
I mean, I don't think I even really understood what an agent was at that age, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So I started off, I did theater growing up, like when I was a kid, and I went to an acting camp in LA when I was like 15, and I wound up getting signed by an agency out there. Went back for pilot season and like very quickly kind of realized that I was really interested in what the agent was doing, and like auditioning definitely I quickly realized like was not for me.
Is it
but
really for any of us?
it's so hard. I'm always like so much respect for you guys because like it's not for everyone. It's definitely not for me. But and it's it's scary and you're putting it all out there. But yeah, I was super kind of like fascinated with the agency thing. And I like always had it in my head that like I was like, I want to be an agent, I want to be an agent. And then like I have like this journal. Me and my best friend from high school, we kept like a journal that we would like write back and forth to each other.
That's
And
so cool.
yeah, and like right after I decided to open the Krew Collective, I found it at my parents' house. And I think I was like I was either a junior or a senior in high school, and I had written in it like, I think I want to be an agent one day. So it was like fun to be able to kind of find that, and yeah, and like, oh wow, like that happened, which is crazy.
You
Um,
manifested it.
yeah, exactly. Like before I even knew like what that word meant, which is awesome. But yeah, I wanted to be an agent for a long time. Went to Marymount, studied communications, and um, my senior year, I got an internship with like one of the biggest casting offices in New York, and loved casting, like loved that part of it, and was just fascinated. And it was such a wonderful office to work for. Beth Bowling and Kim Misha, they're still in New York, and they're still
Still big dogs.
yeah, they're still big dogs, and they're just wonderful women. And like I learned a lot, and that was I really kind of that was where I realized that like I really wanted to continue like in the industry. um yeah, and I interned for them, and then I moved back to New Orleans in 2013, which was kind of like the height of the film industry here. So it was super, super busy. I had a lot of people tell me like, you should move to New Orleans. There's a lot going on there. There's a lot filming. So I moved down here.
Oh,
Um,
did you stay in New York until 2013?
so I stayed until, yeah, let's see, I graduated in yeah, till 2013.
Okay.
Um, yeah, and so
And then you came down.
then I came back down, um, and got a job with Megan Lewis, who's like one of the biggest casting directors in the Southeast, and um, worked for her for a little while, worked for another casting director down here. And then I got a job at like the first big film studio in New Orleans. So it was like the first built for purpose sound stages, films, the whole thing. So it's like they had 4 sound stages and 2 big office buildings. So I got a job there full time as the receptionist, basically, and like I was in charge of client services. And it was just a really steady cush, like 9 to 5, that was like in the film industry, health insurance check. Like it was great. And
Yeah.
I love just being like in and around all the action. It's like American Horror Story was shooting there, like Scream Queens was so much fun. Um, and I just started like meeting a lot of people that way. And I I loved it. Wound up meeting someone who got me a job in a big casting office in LA. So I moved to LA for like a year and a half, worked in casting out there. And then I moved back to New Orleans, and got my job back at the film studio. Um, and yeah, I was just like throughout the years, I was always, again, like always friends with actors. Like actors have just been in my life since I was a kid. Like as a theater kid, I feel like I'm just like attracted to like that actor energy. Like I don't know what it is,
Yeah.
but
Like
always,
at school, you were at every show, like
yeah,
always
I
down to
love
run
being
lines with
your kid.
everyone. Like
Yeah.
Rebecca was like there to be your cheerleader.
Yeah, thanks. I just love, I don't know, I guess I'm like a theater kid at heart. But yeah, so I was like kind of like throughout the years, I was like always getting my friends that I would like really believe in my friends, and I would be like I would convince people to move to New Orleans to work, like literally for their acting career. Like I convinced my best friend Melissa to move from LA to New Orleans. Like she had literally never been here before. And I was like, you're so good. Like, you could be working in this market. Like, she's a phenomenal actor. She's now one of, one of my like most booking clients, but she was like in LA, and I was like, you're better than this. Like, move to New
Like, what
Orleans.
are
Like,
you
be
doing?
agent. Yeah. And so like it was kind of this thing where like I was, getting my friends like signed with these agencies locally and like down here, and they would, they would book, and it was awesome, and I was always like cheering them on. And then one day, like, I had a close friend who's an actor, and he had been in LA for a long time, done a lot of like big shows out there, and he moved back to New Orleans, and to start law school. And he was like, I want to audition again, like, since I'm down here. And I was like, cool, like, I'll get you an agent. And he was like, well, what, like, can you just do that? Like, can you rep me? And I was like, uh, like, let me circle back. Like, that's a good thought. And I went home and I started thinking about it, and um, I was just like, yeah, like, why, I should just be his agent. Like, I should be an agent, and like, it was kind of just at a time in my life where, like, the film studio I was working at, um, I love that job, and I owe everything to Second Line Stages. And um, but there wasn't a lot of upward momentum for me there, and like, I had several conversations with my boss. It's just, let me preface this by saying, like, at that point, I was probably like 29, 28, 29. And I sort of was at this point where I was like, oh my God, like, 29, like, I'm still a receptionist. Like, I've like worked in cast, like, and I was sort of just like beating myself up. Like, why is like my life taking so long to sort of like take off, or like my career or whatever, and like, because I was so passionate about film, but it was sort of just like, I kind of was like hitting like roadblocks, and I was just kind of like, and then looking back, like, in hindsight, it's like everything like led up to that moment, and like, it's
Totally.
like I look back and I'm like, I'm so glad that I had all of those years like working for all these casting directors and hustling, and like, yeah, I was like broke, but it was like, it all kind of led to that, and
Yeah, I mean, hearing your story, like, I've heard it before, but having it like broken down in a way that like someone who doesn't know you can follow along, it seems so clear, Like, you had to make these relationships to be
yeah,
able to do what you do best, and you had to find these people to shepherd you into your home in this industry.
I just got chills. Yeah, thank you. Like, that's exactly. And like, and like, in hindsight, like, looking back, like, it was such a, like, it takes a village, and it was like the people that were coming into the studio every day that I was meeting and like networking with, like, the casting directors in New Orleans are all based at that studio that I was working at. So the lobby, like, was the waiting room for every audition in New Orleans for like the 6 years that I was there. And so here I am, like, just being like, oh my God, like, am I ever not going to be a receptionist? But it's like, that's how I met every actor in the state of Louisiana, So like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it all worked out. And, long story short, I had a conversation with my boss at the time, and he's an actor too. Like, he built this studio, like himself. Like, he built this huge studio himself, but he's also an actor. And so I went to him and I was like, look, you know, we've had conversations, like, I realized like there's not a ton of like upward momentum for me, like, here. And he was like, he had told me before, he's like, if you need to do something that like fills your cup while you're sitting on the front desk, like, if you want to like go back to school and like get your MBA, or like if you want to like start a side hustle or something, like, I get it, like, do it, do what you need to do. And I was like, you know, I I'm gonna start an agency. Like, is that cool with you? And he was so supportive, and he was like, yep, like, absolutely. I think like you would be great at that. Like, there's kind of like there's a missing piece, sort, like, there was a lot of agencies had like left Louisiana when they made a change to the tax incentive program in 2016. And so there's sort of like room for, you know, a new agent. And so he was so supportive, you know, which was incredible. So I I opened the Krew Collective and I ran it from the front desk for the first like 3.5 years, basically. Yeah.
Crazy.
And
Ugh.
I feel so lucky, you know, to have been able to do that. And you know, and everyone was just so supportive and you know, and it's just yeah, it's been the ride of life. And I was able to leave, you know, to leave my 9 to 5, which again I'm so thankful for, in September. And so to be able to do this full time now and support myself like doing what I love has just been like the biggest blessing in the world.
Yeah. I mean, it couldn't sound clearer that this was like, to get all university, but like,
Yeah.
it seems like this was the path you were meant to be on, and like people kept coming into your life, pushing you onto your path.
Yeah,
To me,
totally.
like,
Yeah, no, exactly. And yeah, it's just so it's so great to like be able to look back and be like, okay, everything, you know, because people always say it like everything happens for a reason. And sometimes you're like,
mhm.
"Ah," like if one more person
Don't
says that to me,
say
but it's
it.
like, yeah, you're like, Mom, I know, like you taught me this literally every single, you know, but it's like it really it's true, you know, in this case. And
Yeah, totally. And I mean, like, if you look at Rebecca's Instagram and like her tagged photos or like the tagged photos on the agency's Instagram, all the actors are like, best agent in the world. I love her so much. She's such a cheerleader. She's such a support to me. Like, your clients love you, which is also so special.
so special. I feel like I have like the best team behind me and like they really are like they're like really cheering me on too, which is like amazing. Like they don't have to, you know, but like they are. And it's such a it's really cute. Like and they're always like cheering each other on and like support, you know, there's kind of just this like really beautiful energy I feel like with everyone that's in the crew and like it's just yeah, I feel super lucky.
I think you are really lucky. I think you've made something really beautiful of your life and with your work, and so special. Just, I'm so happy for you.
Golly.
Um, so you started this agency, you were doing it at your other job. It's been the journey. Now you're like flying free solo on your own full
Oh my God,
time.
so scary. Yeah.
But I'm curious, like, what's the biggest lesson you have learned in starting your own agency? Like, what has been, and you're still in your infant years in some ways, you know, like it's only been 4 years, you said. So, but
Yeah.
so far in this like initial four, what's like the big thing that if you could go back to 2019 Rebecca and tell her, like, what would that be?
Yeah, that's a great question. Oh man. Um,
Yeah.
I have learned so much and like I feel like I'm still learning every single day, you know, which is I love to learn and like I it's fun to kind of like look back and like in that very early stages and be like, oh, like, okay, you know, I've come a long way since then or, you know, whatever. There's been so many lessons I've learned. I think I mean, you know, I think when I first started out, I was, I think I was just really excited and was sort of like, um, I don't, I don't know that I was like vetting people in the way that like I like do now, and that wound up kind of like biting me in the ass like a couple of times. Which is like not bad in the grand scheme of things. Like I've had so much luck and like so many amazing, you know, clients, but like of course you're gonna run into, you know, like situations where it's like, um, you know, like, oh, like maybe I should have gotten like referrals on like this, you know, person I love. I don't know. It's sort of one of those things where I just feel like as time has gone on, I think the biggest takeaway is like really listening to my intuition and like really like listening to my gut and kind of kind of like I sort of feel like at this point in like my life, whether it's like with guys or like that I'm dating or like whatever, you know, clients or whatever, it's like if it's not and I had, one of my good friends sort of like told me this one time. It was like her mantra in life was like, if it's not, what did she say? Like, if it's not a hell yeah, it's a fuck no.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if you have to like beat that out. But like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like if it's not like a resounding like yes, then it's a no. And I think sort of just like really tuning into like that intuition and like the gut, like as women, like we have such strong intuition and it's like tapping into that and like listening to it and like learning, sometimes by trial and error. It's like, ooh, like I did not have a good feeling about that guy. Like, and he wound up being like a jerk. Like
Yeah.
like I thought
And it didn't work.
it didn't work, and sort of like just really learning to kind of like listen to that intuition, I think has been a big takeaway.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, that can probably apply to so much, like
Okay.
not even just like bringing
Not
on
even clients, just
clients,
like,
but like even just like you get sides and you're like,
yeah,
no,
yeah,
no, we're not
exactly.
auditioning for this. Like, right? I mean,
Or
that's
just like reading a breakdown and just sort of being like, yeah, like this isn't for us. This one isn't for the Krew Collective, and like if someone reaches out to me about it, like sometimes it's just a matter of saying like, I don't think this project is, I have a feeling like it's not going to take off, or like I have a feeling, like I don't feel right about this, and sort of just like sticking with that, and trusting yourself. Yeah,
yeah, and I think as an agent that puts you like a cut and above because it takes away the like actors deal with this too, right? The like hunger of like I'll take anything, and it's like that's not even attractive, you know?
yeah,
Like you got to have that like nope,
totally,
got to
yeah,
protect the agency, the clients, the people, your heart, all of it.
yeah, exactly, yeah, and like I think at the end of the day, like, I just really I want us to be like doing work that like we can all be proud of,
Yeah, totally.
yeah.
Totally. And it seems like you guys are. Um, Rebecca had like a million clients in Daisy Jones and the Six. Like, I think everyone on your roster was in
Oh
that
my
show,
God,
which
you're
is
so
so
sweet.
amazing. But you're
I'm
doing
like
like
obsessed with it. It's so good.
really high caliber stuff. I mean, didn't you just have two girls who did that show? I mean, that movie Bottoms, that was like a big hit at South by?
Yeah, yeah. I had like 5 clients in that movie. Two of my girls had like major supporting roles, and like I had a couple other that had large supporting roles too. And it just premiered at South by. I can't wait for it. I'm fingers crossed for like a theatrical release, but it looks amazing and got like fantastic reviews. I'm just super proud of them.
Mm,
Yeah. Look, I
love
mean,
it. But I think a lot of that comes down to like what we're talking about, knowing like this is worth my time, their time, the effort
yeah,
we're all going to put into it.
yeah. Because it is like it's like as an actor, right? Like a lot of this business is like throwing spaghetti on the wall and like hoping that it sticks,
Yeah. Yeah.
If I can cut down like a little bit of that for my clients to where they're not just like every over and over again. Like that's my goal. Like I'm super I'm like very, very, very thoughtful with like how I submit my clients. So like I'm not just because like if there's a breakdown that says like 45-year-old redhead, I'm not going to submit like my 45-year-old redhead just because it's set. Like I'm going to take into account like her vibe, her energy, like her skill set, her, and I think just making really thoughtful submissions and like knowing my clients well enough to know like what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are. Like I'm not going to submit someone who's like mom just passed away for like a role of like a grieving daughter, or like
Yeah.
like I'm not like I know my clients so well. Like I'm not going to submit someone who's like in recovery for like an addict role, or like like it's just, I just think like knowing your clients really well and like knowing their nuances, like just helps me like with the submission process so much. So like I'm not in the business to like waste anyone's time, like my actor's time or casting's time.
Yeah.
Um so yeah, I feel like I just went on like a tangent, but
No, I love that. I mean, we're here for the tangents. We're just here to chat. Let's talk about actors.
yeah,
You've brought on like a lot of new clients in the last, let's say, year,
yeah,
which is great because you're growing. But my assumption on this channel, I don't have a lot of analytics yet because I just started, but I'm assuming a lot of young actors are going to be tuning in here. And I will preface, if you are a young actor, don't reach out to Rebecca if you're not in the Southeast. But
Thanks, girl.
got you.
I love you for
But
that.
what do you look for when you're um seeking new clients, or what strikes you about someone new? What is the like thing
Like,
that will
dang.
pique your interest?
Yeah, that's a great question. I so man, I hate saying this like because it's not very quantifiable, but like
None of this business is quantifiable.
I know sometimes it really is just like a gut, like yes, like instantly. I mean, yeah, there's like a lot that goes into it, right? So, you know, I think first of all, like if someone reaches out to me and they have like a very well like a very well written, like short and sweet, to the point, like catchy intro email, like, and they have their package like put together really well. That's like an immediate green flag to me because like it means that they know what they know what they're doing. They've been around the block. Like if it's well thought out and it's put together like in a way that is easily accessible, I love that. So like then I'll start looking through their materials. And I mean, at certain, like for the last 4 years, I've been building like a roster. Um, so I would say like, for the first 3 years, I was like super open to like every demographic, every like type, every, whatever. Now it's like, okay, now I'm sort of like, um, it was like I was kind of like like I don't know what the like harvesting, and now I'm sort of like tending to my like crop, like
Yeah. Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah. You
so
got your
I'm
seedlings going and now you're like transferring them to the ground.
yeah, exactly. So I'm not exactly like I'm a little bit in like at this point I feel like I'm a little bit like not pickier, but just I have to be a little more selective because I really don't want to I don't want like a ton of internal competition. So like I'm never going to have like 10 alleys, like that wouldn't be like fair to them or whatever. So
Yeah.
um I mean sometimes like I've had people that have come to me and they have never had an agent. They maybe have taken like a couple of classes, um, but they're brand new. And I'll usually like if they don't have a reel or credits, I'll send them like 3 scenes to tape. So
That's
then I'll
great.
sort of so then I'll kind of like go from there. But then other times like people will come to me, maybe they're like looking for like a smaller agency, or maybe they just like want something different, but they've been doing this for a long time and they have like a reel and they have um so it kind of just depends on like what am I like missing in my roster. um do I have like 5 of these people already? um like how are the how are their materials, and like are there things that they're going to be, going out for. Like, I don't want to sign someone and have them be kind of like a bump on a log.
Right.
Um,
Right. And I mean,
so
that's hard about this business too, is like knowing the climate. And if there's someone who's awesome, but you're like, I know I'm not going to get you work right now.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Like,
Hard stuff.
it's hard. Like, I'll say this, like, oh my gosh, before COVID, my kid, I've never had like a ton of kids. Like I would say adults are definitely like I've always had more adults than kids. But I mean, I my kids were auditioning like crazy before the pandemic. And it like overnight after COVID, it's like there's like never auditions for kids anymore. And so
Yeah, that's
it
so
hurt, like it
true.
pains me, like at least in the Southeast, like it has been dry for kids.
Yeah. I mean, there was that whole Stranger Things like vibe going on.
Yeah.
Now, like post COVID, I feel like we're in a lot more like magical realism, and that's
Yeah,
a much more adult like
I know.
world to live in.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's my
I
personal
think like,
take.
yeah, and I think too, like just, the Southeast, like we're not, um, like I think they're doing a lot of like Disney and Nick shows in LA. And like we've had a few Disney shows like here and there down here, but you know, um, yeah, just sort of being, like you said, like aware of the climate and kind of just, how can this person like fit into this puzzle?
Yeah, totally.
And a lot of the times, like
Water.
it's gut. Yeah, yeah. It's just a gut, gut feeling.
Yeah, well, I love that. I mean, I think like having too much of a rigorous, like you have to be union or you have to be saggy and you have to have a reel and da 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 da. I mean, you might be missing out on the next Oscar winner, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, I have like I my favorite age group to work with is like like college age kids like that. I feel I just like love that age so much. And I have some kids who graduated from, who were like seniors at UNO, University of New Orleans. And it's like all my like those UNO kids that, they never had like an agent, like, and they signed with me, and like they started booking like crazy, but and like if I would have just like overlooked them because like they didn't have credits or like they had never had an agent before, like I'd be missing out. And like and like these kids are just, amazing. So it's, yeah, I love finding like new talent and like developing.
Yeah.
It's
And I think like you are the perfect person to like be a developmental agent for someone. Like, not that that's all you can do, obviously.
Oh my gosh, please, no,
Clients
that's
on the
a
whole
compliment.
spectrum, but from my relationship with you, like you're just a very nurturing and giving person. So I could see you just being like the perfect first
Thank
agent
you.
for someone to like
Oh,
really,
thank
really
you.
care.
Oh,
That sort of segues well into another question. Like, I'm assuming, I'm basing this off of what I know my manager does, but I'm assuming you probably watch almost every single one of your clients' auditions before you send them off to casting. Is that right?
yeah, for the most part, like there might be like an occasion where like it was like 2 weekends ago, I was a bridesmaid in my best friend's wedding, and it was like on a Friday, and so we had like all this stuff going on Thursday and Friday. So I emailed my whole roster and I was like, "Yo, like there's a lot of auditions due like today and tomorrow. Please know that like it will be submitted straight to casting. So like when you press your submit button, it's in casting's inbox, So
Mhm.
but outside of that, like, yes, I watch like every tape. And again, I just think that kind of it helps me so much, like as an agent, just knowing where people are, and also like watching people's like where they started and like where they are now. It's like if I wasn't watching those, like I would be missing out on so much information
Yeah,
about them.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
And
Uh,
like there's nothing more I love than watching like a really good tape. Like I truly am like it's the best.
yeah,
I
you're like, ugh. Do
love
you
it.
feel like this is like really like testing your intuition? But do you feel like sometimes you like are like, oh, they're gonna get it, and then you're right?
Yeah, oh, for sure. I have like definitely. I will say this, like there's probably like I feel like I'm that agent where I'm maybe like even too much. I'll be like, you're gonna get this. Oh my God. Like I'll be like, I just watched your tape. Like this is yours. Like holy,
Oh,
you know.
I love
But
that.
there's been like a lot of times where that has turned out to be the case. Like where I'm like, you're gonna book this. Like you're at least gonna get a call back for it, and then they do. And I tell everyone, like, if you're good in this market, like you'll work. It's not a matter of like if, it's just a matter of like when. And like more often than not, like if you're a good actor, like you'll get to work pretty quick down here, which is awesome.
Yeah, so great. So great. I love that. Is there like, well, I guess that's kind of the same question. I was going to be like, is there a like particular like story that comes to mind where you were like, oh my God, they're going to get it and then they got it?
Oh, oh my gosh. Yeah, there's so many. I'll try to like think of one really quick. So this one just happened. This one just happened recently where I had like just signed this girl, and it was like one of her like first auditions with me, maybe even like the first. Um is for like a really big Blumhouse movie that I don't know that I'm like allowed to say like what it is yet, but
No, don't say what it is.
gonna be like their biggest franchise ever. And she like auditioned for this part, and she had texted me being like, so okay, yeah, she had texted me being like, this is like my dream role. This is my dream movie. Like I'm like the biggest horror fan. Like I'm such a Blumhouse fan. This would be like bucket list. And I was like, girl, like your audition was like amazing. Like I would not be surprised, like if you got it. And I was like, I feel really good about it. And then like a few weeks later, um, I get an email from casting saying she booked it, like they with the offer. And it was like first thing in the morning, and I was like, oh my God, like she's gonna flip, like she's going to flip.
Oh
And
my God, I'm dying.
this is so crazy. Okay, so she had like booked out with she well no she had told me that she was going to Hawaii for like vacation. She was like, I'm going to like visit my cousin in Hawaii, but like I'll be able to do it. So like I knew she was in Hawaii. um and I FaceTimed her, and it's like 7 a.m. there. And I like to FaceTime my clients like when they book, like whenever I can, because it's just like so special to see their faces. So I FaceTime her, and she like had just woken up, and I was like, girl, are you ready for this? And she was like, oh my God, like what? And I was like, you booked blah, blah, blah. And she was like, oh my God. She starts crying. She was like, Rebecca, it's my birthday today. Like
Oh,
it was like, I want to say it was her 30th birthday. Like she woke up in Hawaii, like on her birthday, and booked her first like movie ever. And it's like this huge movie that she has like literally manifested for herself. And I was just like, this is like, I feel
life
like two
drop.
manifestors like come together, like two, like, like we're both like super kind of like woo woo and like energy. And like, I was just like, this is so like perfect. And
Oh,
she was, I'm so happy for her. Yeah.
that's so amazing. Oh, you're so good getting
Oh
your
my
girl
God.
in there for the big movie.
I
She
love
couldn't have
you.
gotten it without you.
Thank you. Well, yeah, look, I mean, it's totally like a two-way. Like you
It's
guys work
great.
your asses off. And like I tell them all the time, like I try to remind them as much as I can. Like I know this is hard. Like it is normal to get frustrated. Like it's normal to like have days where you're like, what? Like really? Like it's hard. What you guys do is hard. And um like I just want to be, as like supportive and like sensitive to that as I can be, like whenever possible. Cause I get it, like a lot of my friends are actors, and I see what they go through. It's a lot.
And you go
So
through it too. Like you're on that journey with your actors. So you
yeah.
know firsthand how
Yeah.
treacherous it can be.
It can definitely
Um,
be a roller coaster. Yeah.
yeah, we're coming up on our like 30
Yeah.
minute warning, but if
It
there's
says like it says like less than a minute on my end. I don't
yeah,
know.
we're gonna run
Okay.
out of
Well,
time.
that's
But if
okay.
you have any like parting advice or words of wisdom, give them
Oh,
to me, girl.
well, I would just say, like, obviously with this business, it ebbs and flows. And like, I would just say, like, make sure that you're taking care of yourself, like always, and that you're like also, putting some love into like things outside of acting, and like passions and
Words
stuff
of
like that.
wisdom.
Yeah. So a couple of like random ones, but I would say like I always encourage my clients to really like find something outside of auditioning and acting that fills your cup too, because I think that creates like a well-rounded actor. Like I know a well-rounded person is going to be like a more well-rounded actor. And I also just think like, it can be exhausting. Like we know the grind, like we get it. So I think whether that's like learning a new sport or like a craft or something, or like I tell my clients like do a play once a year. Like you're like you're actors. Like I think it's important to do theater. Like, I'm not like it's a bummer when my clients are booked out like all year doing plays. Like that's kind of hard, but I'm like, do a play like once a year. I feel like it's so good for your soul.
Yeah.
And then like the other random one, this is kind of technical and sort of gets into like auditioning, I think. But like in the world of self-tapes, like we're living in this, this new world where like you have the ability to tape at home in the comfort of your own home. And I think sometimes I think it has a tendency to like take away some of like the spontaneity and like um the instincts that you have as actors, like when you're going into a room with a casting director, like you're going in and you're jumping into it, like, and you're using those instincts that you have like so deeply like embedded in you to like make those choices and to do your thing. Like knowing that, you might only have like one or two times to do it. And what I've noticed is just like when I have a client who reaches out to me and they're like, hey, I had to squeeze that tape in like super last minute, or like if it was a really quick turnaround, like, hey, I'm so sorry. I only had like 10 minutes to do that audition. Like, I hope it was okay. Dude, those are always the ones that book them the job. And it's because they are literally like, all right, like it's old school. Like they're like throwing their like, their like outfit on and they're jumping in front of the camera and they're just doing it. Like they're going off of that pure gut instinct that we've talked about a lot today. And I just
Yeah.
think that's so cool and so important and like shows you a lot about like like listening to those. So that's like more technical, but I would say like if you're an actor and you're auditioning, like and you're self-taping from home, like make it like a challenge yourself and like really go into it like telling yourself like I'm gonna do this 2 times 3 times max and like I'm walking away.
Yeah,
um,
and like get present.
yeah,
Like my new thing has been I have gotten like very comfy self-taping with my husband.
yeah,
Um who is a fantastic director, but like I'm too comfy. So I've been like actively like finding new people to
yeah,
be with me because I'm like I need to be like a little
yeah,
nervous and like eager to
totally.
I want you
Yeah,
to be a good actor, you
right.
know?
And also like if you're not like when you're taping like with your husband, you're like, well, he's my husband, or like that's my dad. So like I can do this like 100 times. Like, what are they gonna tell me to like, like F off? Like I'm not, but like when you're
Yeah.
doing it with like a friend or like someone that you don't like that isn't like your immediate like family member,
That
like
you
your
don't live with. Like,
yeah, it's like that those things are great because like it stretches you, as an
yeah.
actor. So I think
And
that's
it does
brilliant.
put that like sense of urgency back on it because it's like
Yeah,
I want to respect their time, I want to respect my time. Like,
exactly. I love
I've got to
that.
get it done.
Yes, good for you for like for like recognizing that and be like, I'm gonna shake it up.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep. So yeah.
love it. That's
You're
it.
just the best.
Oh
I'm
my God, you're the
so
best.
excited to share this and to
Uh,
continue watching all your successes.
Thank you, Allie. This has been so much fun, and I'm again like kudos to you for doing this. I'm excited to like watch your all of your like your videos and all of your other interviews. I'm so excited.
Saves.
Yeah, and keep me posted on everything. If there's anything I can ever do or whatever, let me know. But yeah, but fingers
Will.
crossed for a good few months ahead and yeah,
Yes.
thank you
Yes.
so much. This was awesome.
Thank you. Well, I hope you loved that as much as I loved that. I think Rebecca is just the coolest. Like, what a dreamy agent for someone to have. Like, so positive, such a cheerleader, such a good head on her shoulders, and such a deep understanding of this business. I mean, having worked in casting for all these years and just having grown up in theater, like, she's just incredible. My biggest takeaway from this conversation was the gratification and like the reminder that that gut feeling you have, it's usually right. This business is not quantifiable, as we chat about in this chat. You have to go with what feels right and what you know to be true to you. You have to follow your own North Star. And if you haven't figured out what that North Star is, I really encourage you to do some soul searching and find out what is important to you, what your morals are within this business. I hope you enjoyed that. Rebecca, again, runs the Krew Collective, and it doesn't really sound like she's taking new clients, but if you are in New Orleans and looking for an agent, I don't know, shoot her an email. Thanks, guys. I'll see you next time.